I was asked to speak with you today about the connection between the veterinary profession and animal use and abuse. This is a huge topic, and I thought it'd be better to speak about how this has come to be, considering that the veterinary profession is supposed to be the ultimate advocate for animals. And I think there are two components to it. The first is the profession itself and those going into it don't really love animals in the way that we all know the word love. And the second is that the profession dulls students from their compassion and their empathy and the structure of their education. This didn't happen to me. And what I'd like to talk to you about today is a little story, hopefully an inspiring story, about how we were able to avoid hurting animals in the course of my education. So upon entering vet school, a classmate of mine, upon learning that in our introduction to surgery lab, we were going to have to subject 20 dogs to weekly surgeries for 7 weeks, followed by killing them, she decided that she was going to approach each student in the class and ask them how they felt about it. There's 65 students in our class. 10 objected to it. 10 found that objectionable, which is pretty dismal. The 10 of us decided to form a group to try to work toward an alternative to that surgery lab. And we began our path by dividing up into 5 groups of 2 and approaching each faculty member to see where we had our support. We found zero support. We found zero support in the surgery department, in the medicine department, in the pathology department, in the ethics department, in the wildlife department. We found zero support. So we took our message to our administration. We had a meeting with our assistant dean. We expressed our concerns, and to our surprise, they expressed interest in working with us. They said, yeah, we'll honor your concerns, come up with some kind of alternative, we're willing to work with you. And it took us about a week to come up with a viable plan. We based that plan on how humans learn surgery. Why should it be any different? There are no purpose-bred humans used for the purposes of learning surgery. Surgeons don't buy other humans and cut them open and operate on them unnecessarily. So the same thing should be done for dogs and cats, any other species. So the administration seemed favorable for this, so we decided to work on a mentorship program where we would have students farmed out to area veterinarians who would be willing to mentor us. The surgical department within our own university already rejecting us was not an option. We found 6 sympathetic vets. We put together a comprehensive proposal. That proposal covered an entire curriculum, our timing, the expense, the legal issues, the ethical issues. And after 6 months, we presented our administration with a 40-page polished proposal. It took us 6 months to put this proposal together. It took them 24 hours to reject it. When we asked them why, they said, we don't have a reason for you. We are not going to offer you an alternative. You have to attend lab. That was 6 months from the start of the lab. We responded to that with a letter to the administration saying we are not attending lab. Their response to us was, we will expel you. We then played an ace that we had. One of our group turned out to be an ex-journalist for the Boston Globe. This was in Tufts University in Boston, by the way. Was an ex-journalist for the Boston Globe, so she wrote an article that we were going to submit to the Boston Globe. 10 veterinary students from Tufts expelled because they didn't want to kill animals in a surgical lab. University administration then called us in for another meeting. Said, yeah, we'll work with you now. And so in days of discussion, we arrived at a cadaver lab. And they offered us dogs that were killed in the medical school physiology lab research department. We rejected those dogs. Those dogs were no different than the purpose-bred dogs they were trying to provide for us to torture and kill to be introduced to surgery. They were incredulous. Why aren't these dogs are dead? They're not going to be feeling any pain. They weren't going to be suffering. It's the source. It's where they came from. It was the same animal. So we came back and said, what we would like you to do is to circulate a letter in our small animal teaching hospital and explain to people that if their family pet either were euthanized for humane purposes or died of natural causes, would they donate their dog or cat's body to our surgical lab to prevent another from dying? Administration thought that was too insensitive. Again, pulled the offer off the table, threatened to expel us. Fortuitously, at the same exact time this was going on, 2 students from the University of Pennsylvania, for the same exact reason, had already been expelled, and they were in the process of suing the University of Pennsylvania. We took the headline clipping to that article, we sent it to the administration, along with a letter, sample letter, that we asked them to distribute to the small animal teaching hospital clients, and asked them to reconsider. Seeing a headline article where students were suing the university brought them again back to the table and brought us back in for another meeting, and they finally agreed to give it a try and circulate that letter in our teaching hospital. The insensitivity of that letter was disproven because after 3 months of that letter's being there were enough dogs and cats for our cadaver lab after 2 months' time. We had 4 months to go before lab, and we had all of the subjects ethically consistent to use for our learning purposes. It didn't stop there. The university decided to make a research project of this. So they offered this course to the following 2 classes behind ours. And those 2 classes did not have to fight for it. They were offered it. They were not risked. They were not threatened with expulsion by taking this course. Mind-bogglingly, is that a word, bogglingly? Mind-boggling, 8 of the following 65 students chose to take that course. The year after that, 12 of 65 students took that course. Given the opportunity to take an ethical course versus killing a dog, subjecting it to 7 surgeries after which you were going to kill it, unnecessary surgeries after which you were going to kill it, became something that they actually chose. This is the state of the veterinary profession. This is who this profession, this is who we are. And it's sad. But at the conclusion of this 3-year pilot year, all 30 of us data was compiled on our surgical ability based on questionnaires given to our employers. And it was found that we were at least on par with surgical ability as compared to students who took the traditional course. And it was also found that a much greater percentage of us went on to become specialists in something, one aspect or another of the profession, including surgeons, board-certified surgeons. And the final conclusion was cadaver labs provided just as good an intro to surgical education as live dog unnecessary surgical lab. The other conclusion that they drew was that the students that performed the alternative lab went on to become specialists in their fields because they cared more about the animals that they were vowing to protect. At the current status of the university, because of this study, the university completely did away with the traditional lab. Right now there is no live dog traditional surgical lab at Tufts University. This has given way to sending students to shelters to spay dogs and cats that are about to be going to their new homes. So it's a complete win-win. This has now spread across the country, and other universities have used our model, and alternatives are present in a number of schools across the country. Our faculty administration, by the way, took full credit for this, and we're perfectly fine with that. Let them own it. It's their baby, and they were applauded throughout the profession for their work, their visionary work on this. So this was my first experience with advocating for animals against authority. You know, it was like for having your rookie year as a baseball player and your first at bat being a home run. It made me a believer in speaking out on behalf of animals. It motivated me to encourage others to do the same, and I hope that this story has inspired you in the way it inspired me throughout my career, because we're all here today because we love animals, and that love is real love, and without our voices we are not doing anything for them. Thank you.